Black sun, hardy dirty sheets, clean for you. No pictures, no sitcoms, few songs sick in the head like clay. But I sense you'd like to go back to the place where I still have the key. And carefully look inside. So go ahead, please. Some moments, some nice words, some smiles that should have lingered on. Some nice lines, even letters, not quite enough to keep the heat. But I'm sure you'd like to know what lies behind the wall back there. I'm happy to give you the key. Please open carefully and step inside. Some days we might regret, some days we can't forget, some days I pray for you. Dream up a place for us so far away from here. Many places, only two faces, facing the wrong way all the time. Too much and too little for breaking the rules of the day. But I sense you'd like to know what lies behind the wall back there. I'm happy to give you the key. Please open carefully and step inside. Some days we might regret, some days we can't forget, some days I pray for you. I dream of a place for us so far away from here.
All right, hello there, and welcome to the Second Life Book Club. I'm streaming myself. As you can see, I'm fading down the music, which is the folks on YouTube heard that. That's a song called "Slowly Losing Patience." Complete random serendipity. That's the song I recorded 23 years ago. Very proud of it. Slowly Losing Patience. It pertains to what we talked off the air just now. So, welcome to the Second Life Book Club, free for all edition. Little Brett, Rosie Gray, Monkey, Roxy, Flenser Jürgens, and the Panteras, Pantera Polnocci, and Panther Maura are here. Wonderful. Good to see you. And I have to do a very quick and deep mea culpa apology because I got the time zones wrong. Peter Hartmann is on the YouTubes. I got the time zones wrong. It's actually 11 o'clock Pacific time right now, 11 o'clock Pacific time, which is Second Life time. And I thought it was 12 because the Europe changes the time a few weeks earlier, and I did not notice that the US also already changed the time zone. So basically, the relationship between Europe and the West Coast is again 9 hours. So I'm sorry if people are waiting, and Kitten may be waiting on YouTube. But anyway, today, let me zoom into this little thing here in the back. This is a quote from America and the Cult of the Cactus Boots, which we're still going to be hammering today. I just prefer to feast on the books, eat the word, nothing better than word dessert. Let's feast on the word for years to come. I'm very happy to report that Monkey also has the book. Here's the book. The book is magnificent. I'm going to talk about a bunch of things. Also, ask questions if you want to chime in. But I did prepare a few things that have to do with America and the Cult of the Cactus Boots, a diagnostic. This is a book that is an immersive experience. It will rewire your brain. It's completely nuts. It's absolutely nuts. and a sensation, frankly. Independently published, small publish house of an American expat living in Slovenia, and it's a book about writing a book while waiting for a book to arrive. It is about the worlds theory. There's quantum physics in there. It's on the surface. There is a dystopian narrative of an America where books are banned and burned. The word is banned. American President Rolf has forced people to put on a screen over their eyes, like VR goggles, to be constantly propagandized with content. And the three people here of the book, the publisher, the writer, and the illustrator, they call themselves the Word Terrorist Network. So this is just on the surface. There's a lot of really weird, deep stuff in there. They go into word tunnels underneath the earth itself. The word earth comes alive and wants to write poetry. It's very surreal. Um, they go into the brain of the publisher, Rick Harsh. They go into the brain and discover oh my God, sorry, I got all these messages coming in. They discover in the brain that there is a replica Panama Canal that they have to go through to reach the other side. Anyway, it's a homage, it's an ode, it's a manifesto that really talks about how amazing reading is and how the relationship between the writer, and the reader is so incredibly important and unique. The book jumps back and forth in time. Sometimes it's written, sometimes it's not written, sometimes it's analyzed already in a university setting. The readers change the book. One guy has a word fever over several pages that are just complete gobbledygook. And if you force yourself to read them, it is like a self-inducing psychosis in a way, or like an altered state. There is several passages completely backwards because they have to go backwards through the tunnels. There's a big Philip K. Dick vibe in there as well, when a door disappears and is replaced with a piece of paper that says door on it. Um, I forgot the Philip K. Dick story where that actually occurs. Anyway, so I'm gushing over this book and people getting bored with me. So I'm going to ask you guys, what are you reading now and why are you reading it? If you're not reading anything right now, uh, newspaper, magazine, and the internet doesn't count. Talking about books. If you're not reading anything right now, let me know why. And a related question, can you read, can you still read for pleasure? Or has life, driven that out of you? Because this is also what the book talks about a little bit. I mean, this is what we talk about here as well, where school, college, life can can drain you energy wise, that you that she just picking up a book just for the fun of it becomes something that people can't do anymore. I mean, I talk to people about this all the time, and that is a very dangerous thing, I think, because to I mean, again, this goes to the issue of having everything that you do in life having an economic angle, or a specific outcome. This is also interestingly related to music, because I used to ask the orchestra guy at my son's school. He was complaining like, oh, nobody's joining the orchestra. They don't have enough people. And that school has everything. They have every instrument. It's voluntary, right? But they have every instrument. They do free teaching the instrument. They do really amazing repertoire, and the orchestra leader was talking with me and saying, we don't get enough people in, and I said to him, do you think that is because parents feel that it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time to do just music for fun and maybe for a Christmas concert or whatever, or some other concert that they have, maybe one, two concerts. And they should focus on their academics, on their math, right, on their STEM subjects. And he says, exactly, that's what it is. And so, uh, yeah, I completely empathize, especially with young people when you tell them, hey, you should read this. It's really awesome. They go like, dude, I'm sitting there like until 1, 2 in the morning doing homework and my assignments and crap. I don't, I'm drained. I can only, I don't know, watch a reality show or something that blasts all the synapses, audiovisual kind of stuff. Okay, a lot of people are typing, but I don't see anything. So, okay, I'm gonna just move on. Um, here comes Shyla. Wonderful. Hello, Shyla. Please have a seat. You have a choice of three little seats. Oh, Roxy's typing here. I'm rereading Hans Christian Andersen's stories. Ah, very nice. And soon James Matthew Barry again, but eventually Discworld over December for resource idea that helped with my offline creative work with my fine art. It's a lot of fantasy, but I enjoyed it. Yeah, very cool. Hans Christian Andersen and fairy tales and stuff, where all this stuff comes from. I mean, this is something that I should have on my TBR stack as well. Sometimes really fascinating when you go back to the complete, I mean, to the origins, at least in the written form of fairy tales that were transmitted orally. But we have the the written form, and then you go like, wait a minute. There's really just five stories, and every Hollywood movie is based on those. Uh, Ursula K. Le Guin's The Left Hand of Darkness. Very, very good book. Very, very good book. Amazing. Yeah, Ursula K. Le Guin, super important author. No question about it. And little Brett is still reading her Ryoko Kui Delicious in Dungeon, book 5. Next week I'll ask her. She says book 6. I know it. Um, yeah, do you like Ursula K. Le Guin, Rosie? Is that something that you read before, or is that something that you're rereading? And Roxy, also related question. You said it's a lot of fantasy, but I like it. Roxy, that sounds to me that you may have grown up like I have when I was into fantasy. I'm not so much into fantasy anymore, not because it's not good, but because there's other stuff that I'm more into. But I grew up in a household, and again, I had a good childhood, but my father was an engineer, and he just felt that fantasy literature is a waste of time and it has nothing to do with the real world. Um, and yeah, you should, that this is sort of either this or that, right? So in my dad's mind, at least that was the sense when I grew up, is that he did not appreciate my love and my dedication to fantasy, all sorts of things. I mean, the never-ending story, Michael, in this book is also fantasy. It's young adult, but never-ending story. I recommend everybody to read that. If you know the movie, the movie is maybe a half percent of what the book is, honestly. And people were very in Germany were it was actually controversial. I mean, now it's Michael Ende is the hero, but it was controversial. Flenza is reading The Call of Cthulhu. Oh, finish first story. Christopher Robin and the animals discover a small elder thing wandering around, lost and help to find its way to the tunnel where it's worried about. Oh my God, Flenza, that sounds pretty cool. Can you find a link and put it in here, please? Rock says my mother's husband is like that. He sees fantasy. Oops, wait, that disappeared. He sees fantasy, sci-fi as mediocre rubbish. Yeah, that's very close-minded. I mean, there's really nothing you could say. Fantasy and sci-fi, is is are genres that transport deep uh, things about the present that I mean, this is not, everybody should know this, but I guess they don't. Monkey currently reading next. Yeah, Cactus is coming up. God, these chats disappear so fast. Monkey currently reading David Lowenthal's The Past is a Foreign Country to understand how we look at the past and why we hold on to things. Hyperion by Dan Simmons. Somebody mentioned Dan Simmons before. Maybe I got an email. I don't remember things, Monkey. Give Dan Simmons a call. Shyla reading a comic, The Complete Elf Quest. Oh, yeah, yeah. Put all that stuff in the local chat, please. Rosie says speculative fiction you could throw into that group. Yeah, absolutely. But there's even people who would say literary. I mean, I have people say, very smart people. Matter of fact, there's a few social scientists that I have interacted with who feel that literary fiction, the highest, what is in our elitist, snobbish categorization world, regarded as more important than genre fiction. I've had people say that even that is a waste of time because they need to read philosophy and other, very important in the history. Um, and I think if you say, well, I don't have time because I am studying this and I am a professor in sociology and I need to keep up in my profession, so I cannot read The Three Body Problem by Xi Jing Liu or something. That's fine. But to dismiss fiction as something that is not important, that is bizarrely close-minded and ignorant. Fiction is incredibly important. The human condition is examined in fiction in a way that it cannot be in other ways. That does not make, sociological, anthropological studies obsolete, right? But but yeah, it's bizarre that this notion is again. I grew up a little bit like that. Again, I don't want to talk bad about my dad because he is a great guy, and it's just the world that he came from. But that the notion that somehow reading fiction is distracting from the so-called real world is just utterly bizarre. I mean, I have to admit that I find formulaic commercial popular culture nauseating. I'm on the record with that. Actually, Peter Hartmann here on YouTube, let me just say this. Peter Hartmann says, I'm still glued to the first 35 pages of A Magical Kingdom for Sale. Peter, I don't know if you can put in a link. Maybe Shyla can retrieve that link and put it into YouTube of that book. I'm not familiar with that book. Please also put the author in there. So, let's see. People are chatting. I should put this. I'm streaming myself, as you can see. It's very unprofessional. Isabel has a day off. Rosie is saying perhaps the attitude about reading fiction is because of not having experienced themselves for whatever reason. Absolutely. I think that yes. So that's why it's so important. That's why the experience in school is so important. Where sort of I don't have nothing. I have nothing against the canon being sort of taught in schools. I actually have mixed feelings, but that's a completely different discussion now. The real world is on blast. Um, yeah, the real world, but we also got to be nuanced because I think we all agree that uh, cable news and corporate so-called news. Again, I come from the grassroots radio news business, where real journalism is still made every day. But commercial, especially cable news, is a travesty, and it's offensive and infantilizing, and it's not good for your brain. I mean, we can agree on that. But to go deep into a book or even a documentary on philosophy or history or any type of subject matter is incredibly important and valid. It's just striking that some people in that field, in academia, feel that now is not the time. They feel almost like there's an urgency to mankind's survival on this planet, which is absolutely correct. There absolutely is, right? So that's how I've heard this expressed in conversations. Right now is not the time to sit down and read a story about orcs. I'm paraphrasing, right? But you know what I mean. It's now is the time to to understand why Putin went to war. Now is the time to study the climate crisis, etc. Wait a minute, you can walk and chew gum at the same time. Are you kidding me? Again, we're talking about stories. Stories bind us together. Stories, they ground us to the earth that we're walking on. Um, will I solve the climate catastrophe by looking at spreadsheets all day long and studies about CO2 emissions and comparing the CO2 emissions of an average citizen of an African country versus me flying from Germany to Africa, which is actually I saw in a documentary, it's 500 tons versus 10,000 tons. The African person for a year emits about 500, and a one-way trip to Africa is 10,000 per person. So these things are incredibly valid, very important to get your facts, to get your context, but to let yourself wander into stories, um, and let your mind wander and let it make new connections in that way, and then come back refreshed. Uh, I mean, come on, why are we even talking about this? Monkey says book can bring home concepts, ideas through storytelling that you just can't get reading a text or in a class. Absolutely. And what I always find really most interesting, it was interesting with the Perry Roden people. We didn't talk about it that much, but you know, um, with sci-fi, there's always like hard sci-fi and then so-called soft sci-fi. And with the Perry Roden people, I talked about this before we went on a show because the one writer, Susan Schwartz, says, yeah, she's not really big on writing like the tech gobbledygook kind of stuff or explaining a spaceship in 100 pages. And some hard sci-fi folks, they want that, right? If that's not in there, there's not a space battle in detail described and then the physics of a new spaceship or a weapon or something, they will throw the book in the trash. Um, completely legitimate thing. It's like you go to Starbucks and you say, well, I ordered a latte with this in it, and they give you a different latte. But I enjoy the human interaction, and so this is true for literary fiction as well as genre fiction, is that the way human beings relate to each other um, is, I mean, you step into, with a book, you step into different worlds. You travel the universe, frankly. Every day you're in a different universe without leaving your room. And that is absolutely amazing. And you experience life through a myriad of other people if the story is told well. You go into the heads of these other people, and as I'm talking, I feel like it's such a pedestrian insight that I have here that should be obvious to everyone. But as we have established here, I guess everybody had these kind of experiences where people would dismiss reading anything that is not factual as a waste of time, and it's bizarre. Roxy is saying, I think
And,
it's
and
Shyla, you want to say something? Yes?
uh, I do. Because I did. I just read factual stuff for many years, even after not being under that influence. But I would say too
You
that
read it
um,
voluntarily. Wow, Shyla, you need help.
but I did. I did need help because it was very down for me when without a break and I was unable to act on anything anyway. I took all this in, but
Hmm.
um, I think that's another point is it is, or it's not another point, people have said this, but it is regenerating and it does allow for, I think, a better relationship uh, with the world to take the break.
Hmm.
It's otherwise to me nowadays I think I would find it really depressing, and stop taking action. Whereas with a break, I'm really enjoying ElfQuest, hint hint, but
But we got to
with
be
the break,
talking,
it helps.
right? And you know what? But there's also another part to it. Roxy's saying I think it's a way to a short holiday. It's valuable, but coming back with a clean palate, it's easier for me to digest the new information. I'm not against hard fact. I just like to face myself because there's such a feast of it to get through. Um,
Yeah.
Traveling without moving. I want to say one thing though, because Shyla, you people here now using terminology like going on vacation, taking a break. Now, and again, this is not, I'm not uh, saying that what I do is valid or what other people is not valid. My point that I was trying to make is not necessarily taking a break from the real world and going on vacation, because that depends on your definition of what a vacation is. Now, for a lot of people, being on vacation means I want to be on the beach for 5 weeks and I want somebody to
Mm.
bring me lunch, drinks, and I want to just not do anything. And so for some people, when they talk about their reading habits, that's they choose material that is fairly light. Now, please don't get me wrong. I have nothing against quote unquote light material. I have an aversion towards formulaic popular audiovisual mass culture. That to me personally is nauseatingly stupid. But in books, now I'm zooming into the book that we have here on offer, America and the Cult of the Cactus Boots. This is very challenging book. This is a very challenging book, right? So I don't want to I'm not going to say, Shyla, you and your elf quest, you should read America the Cult of the Cactus Boots. No, not at all. Not at all. They're both they're both broadly go in the category of fiction, but within that category, you have extremely challenging work, work that can grab you, that can hurt you, that can disturb you even, and work that can soothe you, work that's serves as some would maybe say like a pacifier. In my movie Virtual Cultures in Pandemic Times, the great sci-fi writer Peter Watts, the Canadian giant, said for him most video games are pacifiers. They're keeping the population docile. I think he has a very valid point. But the way I contrast it in the movie is then Jules Rivera comes right after him and says, "What the f? I just want to like get some carrots in my Animal Crossing, and that recharges my batteries, and then I'm doing my thing." So yeah, to each their own. But I would like to suggest, and then I'll shut up. Hello, stranger. Um, I would like to suggest that challenging yourself with your reading material is absolutely worth it. And by challenging, I mean reading through something that you don't necessarily completely understand, even, but just keep going. You don't have to understand everything. I think that's something that I want to kind of stress here. So, stranger, what do you think? Can reading fiction should it be a little challenging? Should it push you out of your comfort zone every once in a while, or should it just comfort you like a warm blanket, stranger? I know you just came in, but I'm gonna hit you with the hard questions. Stranger's eating. Stranger, your mic is
Yeah.
open. Okay, you can think about this question. Just shoot anytime. The,
Any of the above. I don't know. I mean, hmm.
so it could
We
be
experience things and enjoy them for whatever, reason we're enjoying them at the moment. I don't. Hmm.
Right. Shyla here says I read poetry, which offers a lot of challenge. Absolutely. Matter of fact, a lot of people that I know go like, "Oh my God, poetry! I don't understand it. Oh no, no, no! I stay away from that. It's way too challenging." But stranger, do you then think when we when people
I myself like to see some, whatever you call it, meat in my literature. I like
meet?
it to have some thought-provoking
Yep.
aspect, and whatnot to it. But
So you like it a little bit challenging, maybe questioning your assumptions, maybe. How about formulaic structure? Are you the kind of guy who gets a book and then I don't know, it has like an explosion on the cover, and then there is no explosion in the book. Do you go back to the bookstore and says there was no explosion in this book?
as far as formulaic writing goes, that's an interesting question because I know I've heard one of my favorite writers in a way is Michael Moorcock,
Hmm.
and I've heard him sternly criticized for that. People claim that he's one of those writers who has a certain pre preformed pattern that he works with. Like on every second chapter there will be an enemy will appear and
Hmm.
cause
Hmm.
trouble and that and it may be that he does. I don't know, but I don't think that makes his stuff unmeaningful. He manages, even if he is writing within a structure of that sort, to I think be one of the most thought-provoking. Very that there's a lot of depth of symbolism and whatnot in his writing. But
That's a really good point. A really good writer can work within a frame that may have been given to him if he even works for a TV show, let's say, or we had the Perry Roden folks on. They write, novellas every single week, and there is a formula. Um, there is certain things that have to be in there, but it's fresh every time, and they can still tackle the big questions. That's really a testament to the quality of the writing. Yeah. So Michael Moorcock, huh? I didn't expect that formulaic son of a bitch stranger. Anyways, did I say this out loud? No. He's absolutely fantastic. Matter of fact, Ted Williams, who was on this program, I hope he'll come back. He knew Michael Moorcock and his wife Deborah Beale, who was an editor for many different publishing houses. I think she worked with him for a long time. So I hope they come back and talk a little bit about Michael Moorcock. Maybe Shyla, you can put a link, Michael Moorcock Wikipedia in there somewhere. So Michael Moorcock, to you, stranger, more important than let's say, I don't know, Thomas Pynchon.
that'd be a little bit comparing apples and oranges. But although it's interesting, Moorcock's interesting in that way, somewhat in that way, because he was primarily known for writing entertaining sword and sorcery, you know,
Hmm.
novels and such. That was his meat and potatoes. But he also was the editor of New Worlds magazine in England, which was considered the absolute avant-garde of progressive, meaningful science fiction.
There you go. It's like
Including
it's.
politically challenging science fiction and such. So
I didn't. I have Michael Moorcock in the shelf. I never read him, but what you're now saying, this sounds to me like he's. It sounds to me like he's the Frank Zappa um of writing, because in the sense that Zappa did like incredibly complex, crazy. No comparison is good, especially mine aren't. I'm just realizing. But Zappa used to love doo-wop music, and he had extremely complex 20th century classical composing techniques. Everything comes back to Zappa for me. If you're just tuning in, or if you're just showing up like Antu over here, Antu, look at this. Antu. Wow. Antu next to Flenser and the Panthers here in the back. Um, so Flenza, we put a link of Call of Cthulhu. That sounds absolutely hilariously awesome. Call of Cthulhu, and that's by April Moon. So everybody check that out. Um, Shyla, please put that also into the YouTube chat if you will. Ah, you did. Thank you. And now it is with great pleasure that I want to introduce a guest. Let's see if that guest is ready to go. Uh, we are still talking a little bit about this amazing book, America and the Cult of the Cactus Boots, a diagnostic, which is a meta-fictional novel. It is a book that is written by two guys who are waiting for a book to be shipped to them, and the book is happening. The book writing is experienced in a dystopian world. Time jumps back and forth. The protagonists, they fall into word tunnels. The world gets dismantled. Words themselves become alive. They want to be creative. The reader changes the book as the book is written. um, Chapter 2 reappears later because they go back in time. There are backwards passages. There is a word fever happening. This is just absolutely, completely insane. But I've been talking about it so much that now I have to bring in a cactus. Reading an excerpt from the book. The cactus. Oh, here he is. It's just materializing right in front of me. The cactus is the Second Life Book Club general manager, but he appears as a cactus right now, and he will read a poem that was written in the book by the word Earth, not by Earth itself. As I said earlier, there's a passage in the book where everything seems to collapse, and a film crew from the planet Nibiru shows up, and all of a sudden things disappear and get replaced with white paper that has the word of the thing on them. For example, the door disappears and is replaced by a white paper that has the word door on it. And all of a sudden, a paper appears that has the word earth on it. And earth, here in this passage, tells the two protagonists that she wants to tell them a poem that she wrote. And that is, here comes part of this poem. Let's see if that works. It's very wacky. This is what I said earlier about, you know, letting it happen to you, letting it flow. This is an experiment. This is a very experimental book. I keep repeating myself. It's an immersive experience. It will rewire your brain. It will make you look at creativity in different ways. So sit back, relax. This is the poem written by not Earth, but by the word Earth.
I would like to eye without owning. I would like to shed the troublesome nature of the self. I would like to drive a magazine rack into a Chinese of plastics. I would like to dye a technique of irrational Eastern generals into believing sports car fuzz, yellow in the attempt. I would like to dissolve. I would like to forever climb out of the human body, spacesuit, and float away. I would like to photograph a hairstyle of blue jeans while seducing the gas pumps that paint the moon into my gallery of visions and driver-induced automation. I would like to never start. I would like to never stop, for it would entail distance as the realization of points. I would like a syntax of washing machines to read my writing, realizing I am the manifestation of its drunken thirst for a sea of name brand detergents. I would like to date a hospital, call it a phone book, knife the word stealing its wallet, get in line at the labyrinth of ears denying the existence of adventure. I would like to deny civilization, to believe that it cannot be the tuxedo in the closet of the universe with matchbook. I would like to email a venture capitalist the momentless drag. I would like to crack their skulls open with a peacock tomahawk and plant the great cactus inside their heads and let them flower deeply into the unified field. I would like to weave a nice afternoon into a vascular network creating this ugly sofa. I would like to watch humanity monopolize while eating chips. I like the triangular ones. I would like to go into the electro deli to order the RFTV AC adapter F to F modeled 75 ohm push on transformer two-way splitter indoor antenna sandwich with an extra icy cotton swab gift certificate from the beverage department. I'd like to talk about constitutionality in spite of the counterculture sentimentality that escapes realism through deception. I would like to take deeper breaths. I would like to disappear. I would like to end the great end times word wars. I would like to become the words. I would like to bust oil drillers contesting the impeachment of violence in today's media. I would like to fill my jetpack with soda and jump from the pipes. I would like to read the text backwards. I would like language grants for the cognitive process to rectify deterrence from my sense of story. I would like to eradicate structural possibilities in abstracting the present for the subsidy will clarify the radical. I would like to become the God consciousness. I would like to conceive with the God particle. I would like to travel beyond the word. I would like to recreate the world. I would like to put a small donkey with wings in my corrective thinking towards this hybrid of truths. I would like to mock the monumental documentation of my thoughts. I would like to read and write the magnum opus. I would like to dangle a masterpiece within the gestures that tease the anticipation of comfort. I would like to misplace a categorical arrangement of fond memories. I would like to finance the hitchhiking of details to Boston too if the mafia will go on a reunion tour. I would like to anticipate deformalizing within the hour. Real statistics try to defend 19 pages of text becoming a jacuzzi full of lost assumptions. I will speak the words. I will read the book. I will speak the words. I will read the book. I will submit to my dying self and leave it behind. I will forever wash away the self. I will ascend. I would like destiny to accommodate the durable wedgie slicer who thinks great potential is in the years prior to the American Revolution. I know the world will one day end, and these words will be fossils. But you will set the book down now and try to go to sleep, but the sound of these words will never leave your head as I dance around in the eternal barn fires of your imagination. Now, I will say good night. I am, I feel, I do, I love, I speak, I understand. I would like to free myself from the burden of yesterday. I would like to free myself from the burden of tomorrow. I would like to come alive in the one and only infinite here and now.
Well, that is disorienting, right? And it's a fire hose, and it's, in my personal opinion, absolutely awesome. Thank you, Second Life Book Club General Manager. You can now go. Um, yeah, so this is just one tiny little slice of this book where so much stuff happens, and some stuff is extremely straightforward. Some stuff is hilariously funny. Some stuff is incredibly disorienting. Some stuff is completely over your head, especially the many worlds theory, where every that is a real theory, but the way it's applied in the book structurally is absolutely completely insane. And yeah, what can I say? I encourage everyone to see if they can afford $20 plus shipping and get this book, because it's not only uh, an incredibly important book, but the entire story of the genesis of this book is just absolutely nuts. Okay, I'm going to read another little excerpt from here, and this is a little bit more straightforward. Well, I shouldn't say that, because Philip Friedenberg and Jeff Walton, they go into the brain of Rick Harsh, who is their publisher. They actually fall into his brain by accident because a portal opens in the floor. So don't fear, there's a straightforward narrative, and it's almost a little satiric because every once in a while, Jeff, who's also the illustrator but also protagonist, he goes like, "Wait a minute, did this just happened and then that happened and did it happen because of this and that? So he serves that kind of like, the sidekick who is just sort of summarizing for people who tune in a little bit late what's actually just happening. And I feel that's thrown in there. It makes total sense structurally, but it's also a little bit, I think, satirically used to kind of poke gentle fun at what we just talked about, sort of formulaic plot structures. And then, when the writer feels like, oh my God, I'm getting a little bit too out there, maybe I should introduce a protagonist who who just comes in and says, wait a minute, did just happen, and so basically summarize what happened the last 100 pages. um, so in this scene, they fall through some cracks in the floor, and they fall into the brain of Rick Harsh, who is the real life publisher. There's a video out where Rick Harsh reads the book for the first time, and he says, I did not know they put me in this book. I didn't expect me to be this cool, or whatever, however he phrases it. But here in this scene, there is a protagonist, and his name is George Washington Goethal, and he's the builder of the Great Panama Canal replica inside the brain. But he encourages the two protagonists to leave the brain because they need to go elsewhere and they need to write the book because people need this book. So here's just a short little passage how this very strange character in the brain of Rick Harsh addresses the two main protagonists with urgency. You must now descend into the canyon of the replica Panama Canal and exit the interior of the Rick Harsh brain, which you have mistakenly fallen into where you have always existed, and you have to return into America and the cult of the cactus boots. There's only one way for you to exit the harsh mind and enter the cactus book, and that is to cross through the pool of cosmic neologism word portal. You will need to travel along the canal until you discover the replica Miraflores locks, located on the north wall of the locks in the shadow of where Isabella directs the paths of the unfathomable literary coyotes toward the workplace of the novelist. You will see the pool of cosmic neologism word portal. This is the only access point that will allow you to enter back into the novel from the interior of the harsh brain. I must, however, warn you that America, the Cult of the Cactus Boots, contains several pool of cosmic neologism word portals within it. Once you cross from the brain back into the text, no one may know which of the many word portals you will arrive at. Thus, your exact location within the book upon the time of your return will be unknown until you arrive. You will then be able to attempt to evaluate your location in the book by sentences that you walk upon, and when you re-enter the text based upon where in the book you are attempting to travel. This journey is one that is very dangerous, and once you enter the realm of the text in the past of the book that you, the author, have already written and the reader has already read, the past tense experience text becomes a constantly transforming storm of impossible text shaped mazes that are constantly changing and moving within the book. So, um, just chose this short passage. It's a little bit out of context, but what is so cool here is that the journey that they're going through in this book, they're living inside the book, they're going backwards and forwards through this plotting. uh, Philip Friedenberg, the writer, really manages to talk about what a book does in the reader's brain, but also what the reader, or the anticipation of the reader's reception rather, does to the writer while he's writing it. And he does it in such a visceral way. It's just, yeah. Anyway, I'm not here to sell books, but you should go to coronasamistad.com. Uh, can you put the link in there, Shyla? This is an infomercial. I'm just kidding. I'm not very good at selling this book because people go like, "What the crap is this? This is way too out there for me." Um, yeah. So I do have a pre-tape video of one of my new shelves with some random stuff on it that can round out the hour. Monkey's putting the direct link into here. Um, I actually also have the gold edition of this book. They came out with 100. It's a limited edition, gold edition. But anyway, I can feel like it's so difficult to kind of describe what this is. And now I kept trying for a few weeks. Let me just do this before we go to the pre-tape. Check out this here. This is hilarious. This is the illustrator. The illustrations in this book are awesome. Jeff Walton, and this is Jeff Walton's avatar work in progress as our friend Ruby, who built this entire book club, with some exceptions. She's not with us today. This is the author Philip Friedenberg in real life, and this is Philip Friedenberg's avatar. So I'm so looking forward. And actually, Jeff was in World, and he sent me all sorts of snapshots. He was roaming around Book Club Island. The big show is November 30th. November 30th. Mark the calendar. This is really a once in a lifetime show, and we had great authors on here. So, and Rick Harsh, the publisher, will also be here. I have to do an onboarding with him. I hope it works, but these guys are set to go. Um, oh yeah, actually, I do want to talk. You know what? Let's skip that pre-tape because the pre-tape is about 8 minutes long. I do want to do two things. First of all, I want to show you a little postcard that I recently got from an author, from Gabriella Houston, actually, who was on the show. She sent me this postcard, "The Mouse, the Bird, and the Difficult Novel." Beep, 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 beep. Ulysses, shouldn't you be gathering food for the winter? When I finish this. And dead. Okay? So don't go to coronasamistad.com and don't order America the Cactus Boots. Just play Candy Crush on your phone. Reading is not good for you. The winter is coming. Play some app and have your consciousness replaced. What is really ah I keep talking about the book. Um, we'll have the authors on November 30th, and yeah, if you want to transform your mind, if you want to really discover how amazing it is to be unified. The theory actually in the book is the unified field, that all the readers who are valuing reading and the word and playing with the word, if it's poetry or if it's genre fiction or literary fiction, all these people are sending out their energy transmitters, and all this energy gets together and makes the world a better place. The way I put it, it sounds very, like I said last week, like very sort of naive, hippy dippy, whatever. It really isn't. It's much deeper than that. So yeah, now, oh, one more thing. I need to also address this here. Shyla prepared a little slide. Today is the Kristallnacht, anniversary of Kristallnacht. That was um, the thing, the travesty, the beginning of the Holocaust, uh, as is a consensus by historians. 1938, November 9th, 1938. In retaliation to the assassination of a Nazi official in Paris. But this was this was just sort of used. The Nazis would have done this anyway. The the stormtroopers and the SS went out and they burned synagogues. They ransacked Jewish homes and businesses. They burnt them down. So not only Nazi officials, the SA, as you know, or as you may know, were the sort of the bronze and the SS were more the brains, but they were both obviously ruthless killers. They yeah, stole, killed. I think it was maybe a hundred Jews were killed, or I don't know the exact number, but the this event is really interesting. This horrible event in 1938 um, changed the opinion of many leaders around the world about Hitler and the Nazi Party, which is actually really shocking, right? I think that to me, really has to sink in. I mean, Hitler came to power 1933. Um, he and his thugs were thugs. He came to power, and just a reminder, um, Hitler and his approach to politics had a lot of fans in America and across the world. Henry Ford was a big fan. There was a Nazi party in the U.S. The New York Times had articles like, "Oh, Hitler loves dogs. He loves gardening and dogs." Real think pieces by the New York Times. Good job. So it took um, it took an event like this, right? Because discrimination of Jews and other minorities was ongoing. But it took an event like this to change public opinion of world leaders who were prior to this event very much on the like, oh yeah, he's not that bad. And I think that's really important to remind ourselves today, as in many parts of the world, there is a concerted effort to you know uh, basically kill democracy and go the authoritarian route. There's no other way of saying that. Um, and sometimes the things are very subtle, and sometimes the things are extreme. The war on, for example, LGBTQ folks that's happening, the assault, verbal assault, and relentless propaganda um, on YouTube and other sources is should worry people, because that changes that sways public opinion and the perception, right? So it's just one example. Just be wary of exclusion, demonization of people, minorities, etc. It's very dangerous times. I know people are somewhat celebrating the election in America yesterday in midterms, that it wasn't as bad as it was made out to be by the press. So that's good. I mean, it's always good, but there are it's I don't know. I'm not saying anything new here, that fascism and authoritarianism comes in very different flavors, and it arrives in different forms, and it arrives in a different pace. I think that is still a concept that people don't. I mean, I have this experience with people that I talk to where they downplay stuff because it doesn't look like it did in the 30s. You see what I'm saying? Especially older generations, not all older people, but they look at this and go like, "Yeah, that's horrendous, the Holocaust. Thank God it's not like this today." And go like, "Dude, the discrimination that's going on against immigrants and putting them in camps, and in Europe, letting them drown in the Mediterranean and stuff like, yeah, that's not the same thing." So, anyways, it is the same thing. It's discrimination. It's killing people based on, or letting people die based on their perceived otherness, and that's not my thing. Water is here. I forgot to acknowledge him. He's playing the keytar. Keytar, Chick Corea popularized this instrument among other people. Very cool. And we're going to wrap it here tightly. And I'm going to keep the pre-tape video for next week. If you want to watch it today, I think it's in the Did I put it in the local chat earlier? Sai, come on. I need to encourage artists. He's a youngin. He wants to express himself. This program is all about the art. We've been talking about it for the whole hour. America, the Cult of the Cactus Boots. It's a manifesto towards artistic expression. I'm not gonna restrain Water here playing a bunch of like old Chicoria tunes. Da 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 ba 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 da ba ba diddle 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 ba 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 dum ba 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 dum diddle. This from the first Electric Band album. Um, oh, the theme from Titanic. Me, fa, where? Sorry. Um. Oh God, I love that theme though. It's good. Does he have a recorder too? Water's gonna say Titanic. Did it have fish in it? Anyways, thank you for coming today, Pantera Panther, Flenza, Antu, Chili Roxy. Um, exactly, Monkey. So the nefarious agenda of this book is, of course, to be a little bit. I mean, that's what I get out of it is to be, to embrace your childlike creative pursuits, the sort of unplanned stuff. And now Water comes in and it's just, oh, he has a recorder. Look at this. He does have a recorder. I have all the sounds muted. I don't know if he's playing anything. I only have voice up. Okay, I'm gonna wrap here. Let me look at YouTube if we got all. Kitten, thank you so much for supporting us. Thank you. And Kitten, watch the last week's show. I think you'll enjoy it because we had a great reading by the Cactus. Cactus read today too. I like the experimental poem very much, but last week he read even more. It was really amazing. Thank you, everyone. And oh, wait a minute. Of course, next week we have Joy Watson. Here we go. Let me tease that real quick. Joy Watson. Now I don't have the link ready to go. Somebody has a link, please. Joy doesn't have. Joy is a researcher from South Africa. She has one novel called The Other Me. She has a bunch of stories in an anthology about feminism, and she is a researcher with the Heinrich Böll Foundation. Heinrich Böll, of course, one of my favorite authors, anti-fascist author, post-war German author, Heinrich Böll. The Clown. Everybody should read that. Here we go. Monkeys on top of it. Make sure that's that Joy Watson. There's another one from New Zealand. That's not her. But so Joy Watson next week, 12 o'clock. I deeply apologize again that I messed up the time. I was completely under the impression at the time. Yeah, well, we went through that. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to run out right now because I do have an appointment. And we're going off. And should I play the theme of Titanic, or should I play some? Should I play some Chicoria? What do you think, Water? Let's do the theme of Titanic here. Okay. Goodbye. That's only for the YouTube people. You guys don't hear it. Thank God.